Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Covenant Army Podcast, where our mission is to equip couples to align with God and win the daily battle raging against marriage and family. I am Brent, and I'm here, as always, with my super beautiful wife, Miss Lucy.
How you doing, babe?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing today, sweet lips?
Super wonderful.
Super wonderful. Come on, sing it to me. I'm super wonderful.
I don't even know what song that is.
I'm making it up.
No.
You actually thought that it could have been a song?
Because you do that.
Oh, okay.
Because you know certain songs that I don't know from way back in the day. You start singing something, and then when I say, I have no idea what you're singing, all of a sudden you want to play it for me, and it's not even a song that I like.
Wait a minute. What do you mean not even a song you like?
There's some songs, babe, that you grab from like 1940.
Wow.
Say no.
50 maybe. I wouldn't say 4. I don't know if I know any 40 songs.
Anyway, it's from way back when I don't know any of those songs.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to teach you, girl.
And you're like a music guru with all these songs that you sing that I've never heard of. And then, so how am I supposed to know if you're making it up or if it's a real song?
Okay, man. Well, I guess it's working either way. But, so you're doing well, it sounds. Doing good, doing good. You know, I'm a little sad because we're not going to have our show to watch tonight.
Which one?
Married at First Sight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we finished the 15th season, the finale, the reunion.
I didn't even know they had 15 seasons.
I didn't either until I was looking through the episodes, but.
Wow.
You know.
Have we seen all those seasons? I don't think we've watched all of them.
Everyone that's been available, I think we've watched. We've watched quite a few because it's been out for a few years.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it, you know, it's been a couple of years we've been watching it.
I don't think we've seen them all. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, we like it because it's about marriage. Yeah. And I really wanted to see.
Who's going to stay together?
Well, who stays together when experts put two people together, husband and a wife, see each other for the first time at the altar, and then they get to stay together for 8 weeks to try and work through whatever.
Live together, preferably.
Whatever, they go through a honeymoon stage, like physically they go to a honeymoon, and then they move in together for 8 weeks to see if they can make it work. And at the end, they either get to choose to stay together or get divorced. That's kind of the premise of the show.
Yeah.
You know. So it's kind of sad that we don't have it anymore. But what's more sad is to see how many of the couples don't make it.
It is sad. It is sad. And I wonder sometimes because they have that out at the end, you know, because at the end of 8 weeks, they bring them all together. It's decision day.
Decision day, yeah.
Decision day where they bring them and they actually decide if they want to stay together or get a divorce. And I wonder sometimes because they have that out that they're not too quick to give up.
They're too quick to give up.
That's what I said.
You said they're not too quick to give up.
Yeah, that they're too quick to give up.
Yes, I think.
You know what I meant though, right?
Yes, I did. So yeah, that like maybe they're not as committed as they should be because they know they have an escape hatch sort of.
Well, it is because I think if people know that they have that escape, you know, that there's a way out, it prevents you from giving it your all. Like fighting till the death. And I don't mean like marriage, you need to fight each other to the death. What I mean is that everything's laid out on the table. We're going to find a way to make this work no matter what. You
and some people look like they want to do whatever it takes to make it work.
Yeah.
But it's sad to find out because I always look them up after the season's done. Okay, who's still together? And there's been a few seasons where it's just sad to see that a lot of them are not together. So it's sad to see that that's the outcome. It
is. I mean, it's pretty sad. But I mean, again, divorce is sad. Relationship breakup is sad. And I think that's, you know, like the article that we're going to share today, like, it's kind of funny, but it's not, you know, 6 no-nos for relating to your woman or relating to your wife. So ladies, listen up. Or guys, I should say, listen up.
Both.
Everybody listen up. Because I think it's helpful. Because I think, you know, if more people knew these truths, it might help them in some of these scenarios to recognize, you know, it's normal to have some of these speed bumps in your relationship.
And I think that's why some of the couples really ultimately don't make it because I think they have unrealistic expectations as to what's supposed to happen when you're married. Some of them feel like it shouldn't be hard, which is super funny. Like, I wish we could call them up and just laugh.
I mean, marriage is not hard, is it? Trick question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. It's meant to be that way by design. I feel that God brought two very different people to come together to make this thing work. And obviously, you're not meant to do it alone. And that's, I think, the missing element with a lot of these couples. If they don't have God in the center going into this marriage and really trusting God for it,
Hmm.
They don't make it.
I think marriage gives every one of us a great opportunity to reflect Jesus in real terms.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like
but if you don't know Jesus,
well, that's obviously if you don't know who Jesus is, but when you're in a situation and someone is being unloving and God's calling you to be loving, like that's only through Christ that you're going to be able to do that. But when you do it, that is the example of who God is. I mean, think about that. And maybe that's why God allows us to have these speed bumps in our relationship. That is actually an opportunity to grow us ourselves, but also be that reflection of Him in our marriage and our relationships.
Of course it is. I mean, these couples in the experiment don't know a lot of this stuff. Some may.
Yeah, well, it doesn't come from a Christian perspective, so.
It doesn't. Even though there's a pastor that's there kind of counseling.
Pastor Cal.
I
like Pastor Cal.
Oh,
you said it. You're jinxed.
I like him. He keeps things real.
He does. I like it.
For sure.
Well,
I mean, the other folks do too, but I really like, Pastor Cal and the way that he talks to the couples.
Yes. So, Pastor Cal, if you're listening to the podcast, 2 thumbs up. We give it to you. We think you're doing a great job out there.
And we have a great idea for a show.
Yeah. So give us a call.
That I think would be awesome because, I mean, there's so many like relationship shows out there.
Oh,
there's
man,
the
they're
other
all over
one
the
that's
place.
like horrible.
Yeah, we're not even going to mention what that one is. But
you don't want to mention it?
No, I don't want to mention it because you mention stuff and people go watch it.
Well, that's true.
So
yeah, and it's not really one of those like, I mean, Married at First Sight isn't really a Christian show, but at least they're getting these two
married first.
Married first.
The other show,
they engage in
the other show, they do all the bad stuff behind the scenes.
Well, they do the opposite. They do the opposite. They do
what the world does.
Right.
They test drive everything and go experiment for real. And like, let's experiment marriage like we're living like we're married, but we're not really married.
Right.
And then if we still like each other, then we'll get married.
Yeah.
At least on Married at First Sight, we're getting married first.
Yeah.
Like we're taking our vows and it's real marriage. Like they're by law married.
Yeah.
So I think it has a better approach to it.
Yeah.
From that standpoint.
Well, I just have another little idea that could be added to it that could make it even.
Take it to the next level?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll pitch it.
Yeah. We'll find somebody to pitch it to.
Okay. So what we really came today to talk about was the 6 no-nos for relating to your woman. I'm going to say your wife, because this is marriage. And we're getting the framework from this from Family Life, which is a great Christian marriage ministry out there, guys. Not just marriage, family ministry, because there's parenting resources and things that are
Yes.
Just to help us get better footing on being a husband, being a wife, and being parents.
Yeah.
So the article is awesome.
I think it's funny because you're laughing because I think that you've probably hit some of these.
I probably hit some of these today, to be honest, because this hit so close to home. And when I ran across it, I didn't say across.
Yep.
I was like, babe, we got to talk about this because this is some real deal stuff that can help husbands and wives.
All right.
Iron them out.
Jump in.
So let's jump in out of these 6. Let's start with number 1. And I'll read number 1 because, I think I've pretty much gotten this figured out after 17 years of being married. Number 1 says, when your wife is sharing a problem, don't tell her how to solve it before she's even finished sharing. You're speechless. Why?
So I'm trying to think if you did this one today.
Oh, goodness. It's possible.
Yeah, I think as a man, I don't think you can help that. I think it's what I've come to conclude after being together almost 17 years, because we're gonna celebrate our 16-year anniversary in April.
Yep.
So I think it's part of manhood, so to speak, the way that God wired you guys.
Well, it is, because once we hear a problem, we want to fix the problem immediately.
Well, as a woman, like sometimes I just want to share my thoughts on something and not have you fix it, but just have you understand what I'm bringing to the table. And sometimes you don't even let me finish the full thing. You kind of jump in, like trying to give your opinion and trying to, hey, this is how you fix this, and this is how I would do it.
Right.
So, and I feel like that's a lot of men, because of their wiring, the way God created men.
Well,
hold on, you don't agree?
No, I definitely agree with what you're saying, but when I'm thinking as far as the men that might be listening, understanding why it doesn't go over well for our wives when we cut them off, as they're mid-sentence trying to share with us, and we jump right in to go straight for the solution, how it kind of makes them feel like, first of all, what they're bringing to the table is not valuable, or kind of disregarding or dismissing the options that they're bringing to the table, and how it's kind of really, as a husband, works against us. In the Bible, it makes me think about, was it 1 Peter 3? Husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. For us to kind of slow down, not get too fast with, winning the prize, that we miss that special part of connecting with our wives in that moment. And just
I think it's
receive
funny
it.
because I know that you know these principles day in and day out. I know you know them. But I think because you're a man and it's in you,
it's a constant struggle.
It's always going to be a struggle. But I love the fact that you were able to share how it makes a woman feel, because that means that you've heard me and you understand.
I hope so, because I'm definitely not a woman. So wherever it's coming from, has to be coming from what you share with me. I was smiling
because I was like, he's pretty aware. He pretty much knows how it makes me feel since he's sharing that.
I'm winning some points here, I think. I think the night's going to be a good night.
Number 2, don't tell your wife how to feel.
Okay, this is a tough one as well. Don't tell your wife how to feel. And I know we've shared this before, like, you can't tell someone else how to feel. But for some reason, as a husband, we think we know. And we think we need to tell you how to feel.
Yeah.
So
I mean, some examples.
Yeah.
A wife comes to her husband. Hey, I'm really concerned about, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, we shouldn't worry about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm. Guess what? I'm still worried about it.
Yeah, you shouldn't worry about that.
Still in there.
Yeah.
So find it very funny that a lot of couples run into that one regularly.
Well, it is, because I don't think we see it, as harmful. I think we can just kind of, I know as a husband, if you bring something to me as a concern, I want to let you know that it's going to be okay and I got it covered. But at the same time, kind of disregarding your feelings.
Yeah.
Which again, we kind of miss each other in those moments and those times. So I know as husbands, we got to be really careful with that.
Well, and also when a husband tells his wife, you worry too much or you're too sensitive.
Yeah, you need to calm down.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, slow down. Take a breath.
Yeah. That's not good.
It's not good.
Should not say that.
It doesn't go over well.
And here's the one that takes the prize. Of something a husband could tell. I'm not saying you've done this, but
I was going to say, tell me I didn't do this today.
Say that you did this. So you start blaming it on hormones.
There could be a logical connection there, because things kind of line up like the planets, and you kind of know.
But that's the worst. That immediately the man is going to go straight to, are you in your period? Is this hormonal? That man may just want to duck.
Yeah, I don't recommend that for husbands to do that to their wives. It doesn't ever turn out well.
I think it's funny because in this article, it says, the horror of horrors. Please don't discount your wife's feelings by blaming them on hormones.
Well, this is the thing, because if you're right, guys, and she is, that time of the month, it's not going to go well for you because it's going through a special filter at that time, and it's going to kick back and not return good fruit. Let me just say.
So don't do that.
Don't do that.
How's that good?
All right. So number 3 was, if your wife's trying to describe a hurt that you're responsible for, don't dismiss it. Be sensitive to her feelings and be willing to apologize.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump in and say you're really good at doing this.
Okay, cool.
You're really good at not dismissing a hurt that I may have or something that you may have said that may have caused a hurt. I think after so many years together, I think you kind of notice it on my face.
Yeah, God's helped me have eyes to see and ears to hear.
Yeah,
for sure.
You have definitely a really good awareness of that, but because we counsel so many couples, we see that this happens pretty regularly.
Well, this is a roadblock, and we were noticing this in a couple that we were talking to last night. No names, but it was dismissing the feelings and not being willing to apologize. And it comes down to pride, for a man not to be humble enough to say, you know what, I see you're hurting. I see what I said to you right there hurt you, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, I can tell you how it makes me feel when you have hurt me with your words in the past, and I know that you're not trying to hurt me,
Right.
but in the way that you said it, it just landed the wrong way. But when you acknowledge it and you apologize and you ask me to forgive you, it makes me feel valued, treasured, like you do care that you hurt me with your words, so you want to make it right. So I feel like you treasure me.
Yeah, so husbands, if your wife tells you that you did something to hurt her, own up, man. Take responsibility. Even though it wasn't your intentions, it's not the point to say, hey, I didn't mean to do that. You shouldn't feel that way. She's hurt. Like if you see somebody laying down on the side of the road hurt, are you going to badger them because of why they got hurt? Or are you going to get down and say, hey, you know what? I see you're hurting. Let me help you.
Yeah.
So as husbands, don't do that. So number 4, you want to read that one, babe?
Don't assume that your wife views sexual intimacy the same way that you do.
That's interesting. That this would be on the don'ts list. Don't assume that your wife views sexual intimacy the same way you do.
Why is it interesting that it's on this list?
I just didn't expect it to be on the list. But since it is, let's talk about it. Well, I mean, ultimately, men and women are very different.
And it's not saying that women don't like sex with their husbands, because obviously that's not the case. However, when it comes to intimacy, women go a lot deeper than just
the physical.
The physical, yeah. Like they want to have a heart-to-heart connection
with
their husband.
And that's important to say because, you know, sometimes intimacy for a man communicates sexual intercourse, sex.
Yeah.
But sexual intimacy is so many other levels, right? That I think is important that people understand that. Like sexual intimacy goes way further than just the physical act of sex, like you said.
Right.
It's emotional. It's psychological. It's even spiritual, right? And again, because guys are very quick, need to get to the finish line, we can miss all those other elements. But recognizing our wives are wired differently on purpose by God.
Yeah.
Right? And really, again, about that understanding part. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier about husbands understanding their wives. Understanding that they do experience it very differently than you.
Well, there's times where a wife touches her husband in a very non-sexual way.
Is it even possible?
That sometimes they don't mean for it to, like they're not trying to have sex in the moment. They're really just trying to connect.
Right.
And sometimes that can be misinterpreted by a man. So really understanding intimacy in your wife and what that means to her is really important. Like really feeling loved, appreciated, and valued, not just for sex, right? And I know we've probably touched on this in other podcasts, but that's important.
Absolutely. So number 5, don'ts for husbands, men. Don't come home from work and think that your job is done. Don't come home from work and think that your job is done.
Yeah.
So this topic, and I know this is one that I think we picked up very early in our relationship. Recognizing, you know, that even though as a husband I was out working all day long, and it was pretty horrible jobs at times, like out in the weather and in garages and just doing things that where I came home and I was exhausted, tired, stinky, needed a shower, you didn't want to come near me, that when I came through that front door, took off the work hat and put on the husband and the father hat and just jump right in with what needed to be done then. You know, and recognizing, I need just a quick second to catch my breath, but it's about getting back in the game. Like the game's not over, you know, we got to get back in and figure out what else we need to do that our roles continue on.
Well, I love it because here, like the first sentence they have on here under that point, whether your wife works all day inside the home or outside the home, she needs you to come alongside her to care for the children in the house. When you do this willingly, it brings her great joy.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is huge because a lot of times there's a 2-income household.
Correct.
A lot of times you don't see too often where the mom is staying home. I mean, there's some people that do.
But they're lucky enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So both husband and wife working outside the home, they have kids. Obviously, they have to come home at some point, take care of the kids. And a lot of times it almost, I think for some men, it feels like the woman needs to do that. Like when you get home.
You mean like as a woman's job?
Yeah.
Right.
And I get it because innately, the way that God wired women, like we want to nurture We want to make a house a home. There are things that we naturally come out of us, but we like help doing these things.
Well, I like where you're going with that, and I like what you're saying. But again, I think it's, as a husband, it's a great example of being Christ in our home. Mm-hmm. This is a sacrifice because it's not second nature to us.
Right.
It requires us to come out of our comfort zone and to love you in a way that is a sacrifice for us. Because when I get home, honey, I got to be honest with you, I'm not thinking about how dirty the floor is. It's not the first thing on my mind.
I understand.
You know, it's not thinking about, I need to get the kids' toys picked up.
Well, I will tell you, if I've cooked a meal and there's things that need to be cleaned up, which in our house, that's usually not the case because we kind of do all that stuff. You know, somebody cooks and somebody cleans. However, in a lot of households, if, let's just say, the wife cooked, everybody ate, there's dishes in the sink, but now kids have to get washed up, things have to get ready for school in the morning. When a wife walks back in that kitchen and sees that the husband went ahead and took care of all the dishes and cleaned the kitchen,
right?
Wow.
Sexual intimacy. Foreplay.
Hey, I will tell you, it like that man becomes even more attractive. It does. It does something to a woman to see the husband jump in and help her with some of the things that naturally some people assume that a woman should just take care of. It does something great. Just saying.
Well, it does something great. And again, guys, like when I said, you know, for a husband, it's not the first thing on our minds, but that's something you can learn. Like that's something you can pick up on that you can put in your toolbox to say, you know what, when I get home, I need to be aware and be intentional where I can jump in and where I can help.
And if you don't know where you can help, ask.
Your wife will be surely willing and able to help you out with whatever you don't know in that particular area.
Ask where she needs help. And I would tell you, because when you do stuff like that, it makes me feel loved. Like in my mind, I say, wow, he really loves me.
That's awesome.
Like he really sees me. He really understands me. So,
because again, guys, remember, you guys are a team. You're meant to do this thing together, right? This is the part where the two becoming one. It's washing those dishes. It's putting those clothes away. It's cleaning the floors. It's taking care of the kids. It's doing the bills. It's like, this is stuff that we do together because we're one.
Yeah.
All right. So last but not least, number 6, babe. You want to read that one?
Don't ignore your responsibility to be the spiritual head of the family. This one is so, so huge, and I feel like a lot of men miss this.
Well, I think we've kind of given ourselves an out as a society as far as men. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of give that thing, well, you know, I don't know a lot about that stuff, so I'm going to I'll just let you take the lead with that one. You're more spiritual than I am, and, you know, you seem to have it all together, and, you know, that should be good.
So sad. So sad, because the woman will do it. I will say that if a woman has a relationship with God and she wants to go to church, she has a desire to go to church and have her kids go to church, she'll do it. She'll go to church and take the kids, even if her husband doesn't want to go, but she won't be happy about it. That she's the one that's having to carry that load for the family. And she's praying and hoping that her husband's going to come alongside her. Well,
and I think that's important, you know, for guys. I think we got to kind of get off the bench and get back in the game, or maybe get in the game for the first time. Because I know for a lot of us, we didn't have great role models showing us how to be a spiritual leader. But just because we weren't shown doesn't mean that we just have to keep a hold of that. Like if you're a man and you're alive, you have the capability to learn and do something different. If you know there's a need that you need to be the spiritual leader and you didn't have a model, find one. You know what I mean? Like being a leader means you got to go in first. We've talked about that before in another podcast.
Well, this is one of those sentences in here under that point that really, I mean, this is how a wife feels. When a Christian man has a close, intimate walk with Jesus Christ, it gives his wife confidence in his leadership.
Oh, for sure.
What man doesn't want his wife to have confidence in his leadership? I mean, that's the dream. When a husband's leading like Christ, it takes the load off of the woman that she was never meant to carry. It's awesome when a man can do that. So I agree. Some men have never had that example. They don't know that they're supposed to be walking this out like that.
Well, what I was getting at is that every man is capable of doing this, to being the spiritual leader. You don't have to go to seminary. You don't have to be a pastor. You just have to have a desire to want to do what is needed in this particular area of being a spiritual head, right? The biggest thing you can do is be an encourager. Be a motivator to motivate your family in this direction.
And for wives, also you
Well, I'm
have
not
that
done.
role of encouraging your husband to grow, in his relationship with God, not to nag him.
Right.
I know sometimes it gets frustrating for a wife just waiting for the husband to come alongside, but you don't need to nag.
No.
Like, you encourage and then you put it in God's hands because God will do the work.
Well, again, that's the suitable helper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see be Jesus as be a suitable helper.
Right.
But what I want to say also to men is that, okay, it's okay you don't know the Bible, but get in and know the Bible.
Right.
Like, it's not a cop-out. It's just a starting point. And you have the option to jump in the Bible and start picking it up and reading it because that's the only way you're going to get to know it.
No, the more you model Christ-like behavior in the home, the more your wife wants to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's attractive for a wife to see her husband reading the Bible, for her husband to call her to read a devotion together.
That's what I say. I want to talk about practical application as far as being that spiritual leadership.
Do it.
Praying together, not letting your wife, like, she doesn't have to be the one to always say, hey, let's pray together.
Right.
You get out there, grab your wife's hand and say, hey, I want to pray together. Let's get down on our knees and pray together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's get out our Bibles and read our Bibles together and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find a podcast like Covenant Army and sit down and listen to this and see what we can grow together spiritually as a husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take our family, right, and do a Bible study together.
Yeah.
Even if you've never done it, why not try? Why not start something different?
And there's no excuse. There are so many devotionals out there for free that you can find online.
Anything you want to learn about.
Like, everything is at your fingertips.
Come on, let's just be honest, man. Before YouTube, you really had to put some work in to find some stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to get in your car, drive down to the public library, go in and try to find something through the...
I don't even think somebody would go to the library.
I'm talking about back in the day.
I mean, but you go to church, like, you could...
But what I'm saying is if you wanted to learn, it took a lot more
energy
and effort to make these things happen. Nowadays, there is no excuse.
You got a phone in your pocket that has all the stuff
in
there for you.
Like, it is an endless supply of knowledge.
Yep.
We don't have any issue of knowledge in this country.
Right.
We have an issue of people actually
seeking the knowledge
out and going after and putting the work in to get it.
Mm-hmm. And applying it.
Like taking time away from playing video games and pick up your Bible.
Or scrolling on social media.
Like, there's so many other things that you do that you have no problem spending time with.
Mm-hmm.
But in this area of being a spiritual leader as far as a husband, right? There's no excuse. It's just you making the choice to do it and then do it.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
100%.
Sorry, man. I got it on my soapbox a little bit because
totally cool.
God's been working on me in this area.
Do that thing.
So these are 6 things that are no-nos for husbands. I just want to go back there and read it again because they're so awesome. And guys, we're going to put the link in the podcast so you can click on it and look for these yourselves because there's a lot of little tidbits under these that we're not going over because we want you to go out there and put some work in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Put some skin in the game because this is going to help you guys. So number 1, you want to read it, babe?
When your wife is sharing a problem, don't tell her how to solve it before she's even finished sharing.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, guys, don't tell your wife how to feel. Never going to work out well for you.
Number 3, if your wife is trying to describe a hurt that you are responsible for, don't dismiss it. Be sensitive to her feelings and be willing to apologize.
Awesome. Number 4, don't assume that your wife views sexual intimacy the same way that you do.
Number 5, don't come home from work and think your job is done.
And number 6, don't ignore your responsibility to be the spiritual head of the family.
Amen.
That's awesome. So guys, make sure you check out the link and go check out Family Life. Again, a great ministry to find tools and resources as far as marriage, family, parenting, spiritual growth, the whole 9 yards. Super, super awesome. I highly recommend it.
Definitely a great resource.
So guys, what do you think? Actually, guys, there's one of you sitting in front of me.
I was going to say, you mean me.
I mean you.
No, I think that was good. Some good points that we brought to the table today that everybody should hear. Maybe we should send this to some of these couples that are trying to be married at first sight and need some help to try and make stuff work. It might need some of these points to understand that marriage requires work.
It does. It's good.
It is good.
It's good return for your labor.
100%. So for everyone who's listening, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe so we can get this stuff out there to more and more couples to help them in their marriage so they can be successful and align with God. Yep. To help us fight this war against marriage.
Amen. God bless you guys. We love you, and we'll see you next time.